Patriots, what you're about to see will shock you. Just days before Trump's historic return to the White House, unauthorized drones are breaching restricted airspace over D.C. The Secret Service admits we're in a higher threat environment, while 8,000 National Guard troops mobilize for what could be the most secure or most threatened inauguration in history. Meanwhile, Carrie Underwood steps forward to perform despite leftist backlash, but here's what's really catching our attention. Why are hospitals being asked to prepare unprecedented medical support for the event? Something big is brewing in D.C., and we're the only ones asking the real questions. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in times of uncertainty, looking younger isn't just about vanity, it is about resilience. As we witness unprecedented security threats in our nation's capital, it reminds us that preparation is everything. Just like our military prepares for threats, you need to prepare for the battle against aging, and that's why I trust this incredible collagen formula. Unlike typical supplements, this combines 5 critical types of collagen that help reduce wrinkles and promote skin elasticity. Visit healthwithgary.com and get 51% off plus free VIP coaching for life. Don't let age be your vulnerability. Take action today. Now, check this out. This I just saw this right before we went to tape, and this woman here is this came from Kylie Jane Kramer. She posted this woman. Apparently, maybe it was a TikTok video. And she says, this woman is so infected with TDS, she thinks that she's hurting Trump with her actions. Listen to what she is planning and she's promoting for all leftists to do to sabotage the Trump inauguration. Listen.
Mass amount of on 14 tickets, mass amount of on 14 tickets to Donald Trump's inauguration in Washington, D.C. You can order them through your congressional representatives, and then they do a lottery. Now, you might want to know, when am I going to D.C.? Well, I'm not actually going. I just figured it was a tiny way that I could protest, and if thousands of Democrats or non-woo-woo Republicans ordered mass amount of tickets and then didn't show up, how upset Donnie will be with all those empty seats. Mass amount of tickets on 14.
Yeah, so they're actively telling people to order tickets for the inauguration just so they won't show up. And then my buddy Tom just sent me this a moment ago. This is from OSINT Technical. This is really curious considering the new drone threat that is over D.C. Marjorie Taylor Greene just tweeting about it. This is from China's DJI. The world's largest drone manufacturer has disabled, you ready for this, disabled geofencing on its drones, enabling flights over airports, military bases, and no-fly zones. DJI says it's putting control back in the hands of drone operators. Isn't that interesting? And then here we have, this is what Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene has just posted, that there's currently unauthorized drone activity over the White House a week before President Trump's inauguration. She says, I just flew into DCA. Before landing, our pilot announced he had to fly in from another direction due to unauthorized drone activity over the White House. George Beasy says, can this BS end fast? I don't want to be hearing about any drones while I'm at the inauguration. We need a break. Now, if you remember, prior to the assassination attempt of Donald Trump in Butler, the would-be assassin, took his drone up and scouted the location. Now, I'm not saying that's exactly what's happening now, but you have unauthorized drone activity over the White House days before the inauguration. You might want to think twice about what could happen there. Very, very concerning. And then we have this. A guyer says, I'm worried about the drones, that the government has no clue what's going on. Now, this dovetails exactly into our report from the other day, when James O'Keefe revealed a whistleblower came forward with a memo that instructed that additional medical personnel be stationed at the inauguration, which has never been asked before.
You just talked. An internal memo from the Veterans Administration surfaced containing an unusual request: support for the upcoming presidential inauguration. A high-level source inside the Department of Veterans Affairs has disclosed a memo from the Executive Director, Office of the Emergency Management within Veterans Affairs. The source inside the VA said the source deployment request did not occur for the last 2 inaugurations. We spoke to the source inside the VA to ask if this is something that's typical. So can you just talk a minute about this being typical or not typical within the VA, them doing these sorts of things for the past few inaugurations?
What concerned me was that this has never been requested before, especially not from HHS. What we have, what I saw to me was a little bit unnerving. I've been in the VA for several inaugurations, and this was the first time they have ever asked for DEMS personnel.
First time they've ever asked for personnel.
For an inauguration, yes.
Why do you think that is?
I have no idea. That's why I decided to send that memo to you, because I believe that there's something unnerving about it. I'm not 100% sure, but my gut says this is not normal, and it's not.
The memo details a formal request from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Strategic Preparedness and Response, or ASPR. It calls upon the Veterans Administration to provide critical medical support for the event. Specifically, they sought the deployment of paramedics, registered nurses with expertise in emergency and medical surgical care, and licensed medical practitioners, including MDs, DOs, NPs, PAs, specializing in emergency medicine. The memo is signed by Derek Justad, who is the Executive Director for the VHA Office of Emergency Management. We ask, is this request part of a standard protocol for inaugurations, or is there a specific reason for the heightened medical readiness? An internal
memo is now out. We're also learning, yes, liberals are also upset that Carrie Underwood is her Instagram post. They're trying to shame her for performing at Trump's inauguration, and they are just seething that she's going to be performing there. But back to the drone situation, people are asking questions. Are these the same SUV-sized drones that the Biden administration said are not a threat? And then we have the Secret Service agent in charge of President Trump's inauguration announced that it is a higher threat environment. Listen.
Months. So I would say what's different is we are in a higher threat environment.
What is the difference in comparison to the last inauguration or previous inauguration?
Last inauguration.
Yeah.
I would say we have a slightly more robust security plan. We've been planning for this event for 12 months, along with our partners. It's an ever-changing threat environment, and so we stay flexible. If we see that, hey, we need to shore this particular checkpoint up, we do that. So what's different? We've learned. This is our 5th NSSE this year in the Washington field office. We've done 83 NSSEs. Each one we take a look at, and if there's areas where we need to improve, we do it. But what I can tell you is that we are 100% confident in the plan that we have put in place for this inauguration, that the public and our protectees will be safe.
Yeah, we remember Butler too. And then we have the FBI announcing this, that there are no threats to President Trump's inauguration based on their knowledge. And of course, what knowledge does the FBI really have?
We are not currently tracking any specific or credible threats to the inaugural ceremony or to the Capitol complex. We will continue to work closely with our partners to share information and identify and disrupt any threats that may emerge.
We are not currently tracking. Well, maybe you should track a little bit harder. Don't you think? Yeah. Reports indicate unidentified drone activity in the restricted airspace above the White House. Right Angle News Network. Funny how this happens 1 week before Trump's inauguration. And here is the inauguration multi-day celebration schedule. The victory rallies on Sunday, and Inauguration Day has a packed schedule. Sunday, Arlington National Cemetery ceremony, wreath laying at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, Make America Great Again victory rally on Sunday. Donald Trump will be delivering remarks, and then there will be a candlelight dinner. On Monday, there is a lot going on the 20th. St. John's Church service, tea at the White House swearing-in ceremony, farewell to the former and vice president, U.S. Capitol departure ceremony, president's signing room ceremony, JCCIC congressional luncheon, president's review of the troops, presidential parade, Oval Office signing ceremony at the White House Commander-in-Chief Ball, Liberty Inaugural Ball, and the Starlight Ball. And then Tuesday, January 21st, there will be the National Prayer Service. So we now have the the schedule. And now this guy was replying to Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who noted the drone threat. She said, this guy said, Cab said, if there are either foreign or domestic human drones flying over the most sensitive areas of the country, then why won't the military engage with them? Why do these drones insist on being seen without posing any serious threat? And then we have this. The D.C. police officials announced 40,000 cops have volunteered to help on Inauguration Day.
Security of this event. Our entire police department will be activated for the presidential inauguration. In addition, we'll be reinforced with nearly 4,000 officers from across the United States who were generous enough to raise their hands and commit their time to assist the Metropolitan Police Department. Those additional resources will be deployed to manage traffic, secure dignitary routes, and ensure public safety in our city. I'd like to pause and thank those officers who are coming to our city, taking time away from their families to ensure the safety and security of this event. Their commitment to our country, to this city, and their law enforcement partners are admirable. They deserve praise from us all. Also,
4,000 volunteers. Now, if you remember just the other day, we had Donald Trump promising disclosure regarding the drone activity that we recently reported on over New Jersey, and now we're seeing drone activity over the White House. So let's listen in to that moment.
Sure, a lot.
A story that kind of disappeared very suddenly. Do you have any idea whatever happened to the drones?
What happened to drones?
Well, you had said that you knew you thought the government knew what was happening with these drones over New Jersey. There were some by Bedminster.
I don't know. They're over Bedminster a lot, so I can imagine. I'm going to give you a report on drones about one day into the administration, because I think it's ridiculous that they're not telling you about what's going on with the drones. And it's not only with me. Glenn was telling me today that in Virginia they have drones all over the place too, and nobody's reporting it. I don't know why they're not. Do you want to say something about that?
Just one quick comment, which is we are home to the largest naval base in the world in Quantico, and we house a lot of the SEAL teams and have a huge national security infrastructure. And now for 2 years running, we have had drone incursion over secure airspace, and we still don't know why. And I think that's absolutely unacceptable. And I think President Trump and the new leadership coming in, I think will work diligently to understand who's behind this and what we do in order to stop the digital surveillance of all of our secure infrastructure.
Is it dangerous?
Well, I can tell you this. While we were dealing with a terrorist attack in New Orleans, we had drones being flown over our nuclear reactors in Louisiana. And we brought that attention to the FAA. We've been asking the FAA to give these states the ability to mitigate these drones. And it's sitting on some bureaucrat's desk. And that's real.
Nobody knows. They don't want to talk about it. Go ahead, Governor, you're going to say?
I was just going to say we have drones in Wyoming flying over our infrastructure as well. And it's incredibly frustrating that we not only have no way of knowing what it is, but nobody knows how to deal with them.
They don't want to talk about it, and nobody knows why. They don't want to talk about it. That could be us sending drones. I hope that's the case, us doing it and doing research, and maybe they don't want to talk about it from that standpoint. I hope it's not an enemy, but we're going to find out on the 21st, the day after. You have to give me a little time for the inauguration, but shortly thereafter, we'll give you a report on it. We'll tell you exactly what it is. They know.
So we're looking forward to that disclosure. And then we also have this on Melania Trump discussing moving back into the White House.
Going behind the scenes, what is it like when you're moving back in the White House? What's different this time?
The difference is I know where I will be going. I know the rooms where we will be living. I know the process. The first time was challenging. We didn't have much of the information. The information was upheld for us from previous administration, but this time I have everything. I have the plans. I could move in. I already packed. I already selected the furniture that needs to go in. So it's very different transition this time, second time around.
Will you decorate it exactly like it was before, or are you making changes?
A little bit of changes, not much.
Behind the scenes.
Oh, Melania, we can't wait. Also, we're learning that the Texas Governor Greg Abbott breaking federal protocol ordering flags to fly at full staff for Trump's inauguration in honor of Inauguration Day. But then we have this curious video. We played this the other day about Steve Quayle warning about 40 to 50,000 trained leftists ready to act before Trump's inauguration.
Conflict. And let me make this clear. We are under a communist regime, in my opinion, and every communist revolution is based on armed conflict. And what my sources are saying is there's close to 40 to 50,000 trained leftists, and those are people that hate the country, that want revolution, that are ready to go into action prior to the 20th inauguration. That's a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody wonders, well, why is everyone silent? They're waiting for the quintessential contact point to basically make their move. And ladies and gentlemen, we are watching absolutely the takedown and the placement of the troops that hate our guts. And it's too late. And I mean this, look at what happened with the open borders. And kudos to President Trump for putting up the gates. And what does Biden do? He wants to scrap it and sell the steel. What did he do with our strategic petroleum reserve? He lowered it. When I had an actual contact from a implant, he said, I am inside the Communist Party USA. And he said, we are armed and we're going for it. They're not settling for bricks anymore. They're not settling for disrupting Portland. They're not settling for burning cities down. They're going for gold. And in their mind, gold are the people that are withstanding their takeover and takedown. Now, look at what Biden just did. I'm conscious of the time that he just, in essence, he wasted, he laid waste to the U.S. military. The whole woke drove it broke. And now we don't have what we used to have to even defend the country. Let me make.
So much is happening right now. We're going to keep a close eye on it. There's Clark Kent right there over the Secret Service. What else have we got? I'm going to make sure. And then we have this, the drone problem. It should be easy enough to ensnare the dang things in netting, make American skies great again. Let's clean up the junkyard in the sky. This is the tweet from Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about flying in and seeing the notice from the pilot, unauthorized drone activity over the White House. The fact that the pilot would say that is wild. The Secret Service is in charge of securing Trump's inauguration, which is raising serious alarms in light of recent major failures. And then we find out this here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's actually happening. President Trump will be bringing his iconic garbage truck to the inauguration parade. Yes, we cannot wait to see that going through the streets of Washington, D.C. as the Chinese decide to lift their geofencing on drones so they can fly over fly over secure installations. We have leftists who are starting to create ghost registrations for inauguration tickets. We have 8,000 National Guardsmen activated.
In addition to the support of the fellow law enforcement partners, we will have 7,800 National Guard members that will be activated across the district to assist with the inauguration. This is not just at the request of the Metropolitan Police Department, but at the U.S. Secret Service and those who are under the security special inauguration event. In addition,
so you got 8,000 National Guard, you got 4,000 police officers volunteering. You have all of these additional medical personnel who have been called up, according to James O'Keefe's whistleblower. And you got the drone activity over the White House. I mean, it's just crazy all the way around, folks. So keep your head on a swivel, as they say, and we're going to keep our eyes open for the security and safety of our president and this nation. Here is another post from Amuse. 7 days before Trump and his AI czar take office, Joe Biden dumped a steaming pile of regulatory garbage on the incoming administration. Biden's 200-page regulatory morass was drafted in secret and would surrender America's AI advantage. Yeah. Oh, and who could forget what Mark Vargas had to say about the inauguration a couple weeks
With
ago.
General Flynn, the federal government has already proven that they cannot protect President Donald Trump. So I agree with General Flynn. I think there's got to be a scaled down inauguration because the number one priority is to ensure that President Trump safely takes the oath of office. And can he do that effectively in Washington, standing on the west front of the Capitol with all of these threats? I don't think so. The federal.
Well, after all this, we're seeing this massive security apparatus come into view. But we are all hoping it all goes off without a hitch. He's back, 47, about to assume power yet again. Meanwhile, feds are planning to resist Donald Trump, a bold move for folks who get paid to do what the boss says. 50% of feds plan to resist Donald Trump in the lead up. Oh, and then, of course, we have this. This is regarding the drone threats. This is Dan Bongino.
Other avenue. Folks, I'm really hesitant to talk about this, but I feel an obligation to put it out there because I don't have any other avenue to do it other than you guys in the Bongino Army. I don't think the Secret Service is prepared. And I think the Secret Service, along with the FBI, are lying to this transition team. This transition team knows it. And unfortunately, there's nothing they can do until they formally take power in 2 weeks. But when they take power in 2 weeks, Donald Trump is going to be sitting there exposed at the inauguration. This drone thing has me freaked out. I tweeted this and it went nuclear. Can anyone look up this tweet, see how many impressions it got? Is it over 1 million? I mean, I just tweeted out the other day, January 4th. This is what was on my mind. I want you to know I was still on vacation. I didn't get back until the next day. And this is bothering me so much that I felt the need. This was the one substantive tweet I put out in like a week and a half or so because it's on my mind. And I am so worried about President Trump's safety. And I'm convinced they got the wrong people in there. Is that 2.3 million? Okay. So this thing went pretty nuclear. It says assassination attempts by drone should be on everyone's radar. Everyone's radar. Gary Oldman, the professional style. Everyone. Quote, we're in perilous territory and liars and frauds in our government aren't being honest about the threat. So a source reached out to me. This is where this is coming from. Now, I have been covering the drone threat to establish bona fides, so you don't think I'm full of shit, okay? I wrote about the drone threat in my book, The Fight, I wrote 10 years ago. The threat specific to presidential security. It's a threat.
Now, keep in mind,
easier to combat the drone threat in a foreign war zone than it is home because you have the drone threat is freaking real. It's not coming, it's here. I have been writing about this forever. And folks, my fear is that we're going to have a Pearl Harbor moment. That we had an idea that the enemy, at the time the Japanese were going to attack, and we weren't prepared. The thing about this threat, in contrast to Pearl Harbor, is there have already been Pearl Harbors. Jump ahead to the USA Today thing. You know Nicolas Maduro, who's an obvious scumbag in Venezuela, but that's besides the point for now. There was already a drone attack on him. There was? Yes, in 2018. Venezuela drone attack. Here's what happened with Nicolas Maduro. You've got an inauguration coming up. So I'll go back to my tweet a second. This drone threat is real, and what's worrying me is that there are people in the government, in the protective entities, the Secret Service and elsewhere, that are briefing people on the Trump thing that are not being honest about how unprepared they are for this threat. I'm not telling you they're doing nothing. I'm just telling you they don't have a full grasp of the threat, and they don't want to say it. Folks, this is real, man. And this is going to happen. It is, whether it happens in Times Square or someone else, it is going to happen. And there are people in charge who have wasted time on DEI bullshit. They've wasted time targeting Americans with MAGA hats, Moms for Liberty, pro-lifers, targeting the evil white supremacists around every corner. And they have not thought through the threat of a swarm of drones taking out a crowd of people or taking out one of our protectees with an inauguration right around the corner, and Donald Trump not able to do anything about it because he's not in power for 2 more weeks. You think the Secret Service is prepared for this? Washington Post, Carol Leonnig, who I'm not a huge fan of, to be candid, but her article's not wrong. This has been covered. I want to just show. I mean, Susan Crabtree and others have been talking about this forever. I've written about it in my book, but she wrote about it, and she's, it's good. Anyone who can bring attention to it. Washington Post, years of inaction on the crisis at Secret Service set the stage for Trump shooting in Butler. It's a long report. It's worth your time. It's in the newsletter today, bongino.com/newsletter. If you would like to subscribe, it's free. Please read the article. It's accurate. It talks about one of the biggest problems in the Secret Service right now. They don't.
Okay, so you get the point. This is on everyone's radar. And now today, we have a drone threat over the White House. What was that drone doing? What was it doing? Was it scouting? Boy, buckle up, folks. Just pray that this whole thing goes off without a hitch. Pray for the safety of this country and everybody in attendance, because we need to have Trump back with no problems. But this whole year has started with one problem after another. So keep the powder dry, folks. So think about what we've uncovered tonight. Unauthorized drones over the White House, 8,000 National Guard troops mobilizing, emergency medical personnel on standby, the Secret Service admitting that we're in a higher threat environment, and yet the FBI claims there are no threats. Something isn't adding up. Remember, these are the same people who failed to protect our previous inaugurations, the same bureaucrats who fought Trump at every turn. Now, with just days until his return, mysterious aircraft are breaching restricted airspace. So here's tonight's question. Why is the mainstream media silent about these drone incursions while they obsess over attacking Carrie Underwood for supporting Trump? Share your thoughts below and rock your patriot pride with MAGA Avengers gear, the uniform of the truth movement, linked below.